Whoops, I forgot to unmute my own mic. Hello, everyone. I just had to drop in tonight to do a little chat with all of you. I've been sitting through a webinar with the Friday Night Live webinar with all of the OTech guys, and they were discussing the superiority of ONPASSIVE. And there were so many worthwhile people on tonight. I think we had over 500 attendees. And I couldn't help but think every one of them had a story of our journey with ONPASSIVE. And I wanted to share a little bit from some of the people that I've talked to recently, and especially with Chris Johnson tonight, who touched my heart like he always does, but in such a way that I felt really wanted to reach out to him and let him know how valuable he is to ONPASSIVE and what his contribution means. This month I have lost the last living relative of my immediate family. I'm the last man standing, so to speak. And grief is a magical thing that can encompass you and pull you along into a current that is hard to extricate yourself from. But when you're surrounded by people who love you, they become perhaps stronger families than the group that you started with in life. And I felt that connection tonight with my brother, Chris Johnson. I never had a brother in real life, and I always longed for a big brother like Marty and Chris, Redford, those with strong capabilities. But I always found substitutes that served the purpose because I love men with soft hearts. When I listened to Chris and what he was saying tonight, it is so important that we remember, yes, the products of ONPASSIVE are superior in every way to anything that's out there right now. But more important, the people that comprise, the founders that comprise ONPASSIVE are a secular group unlike any I've ever encountered in my 81 years of life. I guess you would call me a metaphysical teacher. I have been teaching for years, but I also have had other careers in my lifetime. And to say that the workplace is an easy place to be for a woman is really a joke. Even now, it's even worse. Women's rights are under fire. We're losing ground that we gained in the 70s. And we have to remember when Mr. Ash started to create ONPASSIVE, he was determined. He was going to create a level playing field. Give us more time to spend with our families who are so important to us. To have time for ourselves and our babies. And as mothers, I remember the mad scramble in the morning, getting up, getting people fed, getting them in the car. Half the time, I would be driving in a state of absolute numbness on the way to the babysitters or to the child care centers. It's a wonder I got there in one piece. But I remember mornings that I put my briefcase and everything on the top of the hood of the car, and then I had to strap the baby in the back, and I had to get the other two from fighting and get them separated. And before we even got on the road, and I was driving out onto the freeway, and the cars were honking at me and honking at me, and I realized my cup of tea, my briefcase, and all my books for that day were still riding on the top of my car. And so I had to pull off the freeway and get out and retrieve everything. And I look back on moments like that I just cannot believe that I made it, that I survived it. Oh, hi. Hi, Philip and Susan. I'm so glad you dropped in. This was an impromptu thing, but I wanted to talk to everybody tonight. Philip and Susan are part of my group that came in um, due to my suggestion, and they are priceless, absolutely priceless members of ONPASSIVE. I was just telling them that I remember the days of having to go to work in the morning and get all your kids squared away and make sure you had them all in the right place. But I am so grateful that Mr. Ash has given women an equal opportunity to develop our business, to excel, to become important in our own families as providers, but most importantly, to have the choice that if we want to stay with our family, instead of going to work from 9 to 5, we can. We can educate our children in a safe manner. He has given us so much. Superior is a very small word for what we're going to have when ONPASSIVE truly launches to the world. I had a dream the other night. Of course, you all know that I'm a metaphysical person. I'm also labeled as a psychic and whatever. And so my dreams are very relevant to me. And I saw this big wave coming out of the sky. It was just like a wave of gossamer mist building and coming toward me. And I thought, oh my God, there's going to be a tornado somewhere or a hurricane. That was the first thing I thought. And then I could see people surfing on the top of the waves. And they got closer and closer to me in my dream. And as they appeared over the horizon and they come swooping down, there was ONPASSIVE across the sky. So I took that to mean that we're on the brink of probably the greatest adventure of our lifetime. And when I guess you could call it recruiting, but what I was sharing with these people that I love and my clients and people that I knew, I only knew in my heart, above everything, I wanted everything that Mr. Ash was creating to be true. And in my heart, I knew it was. For the moment I saw him, I knew where his heart was coming from. But I didn't expect it to be even a quarter, not even a quarter of the size it is right now. And the overwhelming possibilities as women that we're going to have. And I'm not excluding the men in the world. I love every single one of them. My God, they're magnificent leaders in the group. But I am so impressed by the women that have stood up and took a stand and made an image of how strong we really can be. I'm a firm believer in keeping up with uh, new technology. I have been kind of a flag waver for many years about subtle body energies, about healing yourself, about raising your vibrations, about learning how to meditate, how to progress into the new dimensions in a grand fashion. And I have been talking about raising your vibrations for 40 some years. And anybody that knows me will tell you how I feel. I want you to remember the words that you use with and about ONPASSIVE is very, very important to our success. Because as we connect with our higher selves, we project our thoughts, our words out into the collective. Everything we think, everything that we project, someone else is going to pick it up. And if we are united in our quest to let people know of the benefits that are before them, can't you see in your hearts what this is going to mean to you? And when Ash tells us to keep our thoughts high, to dream big, that's exactly what we are supposed to do. There's a very, very good book called Power versus Force. And within that book, there is a map of consciousness, it is called. And it is a map that lets you know the levels of consciousness and how they're rated. It's probably one of the best books that was ever written. And very few people run out and pick up copies of Power versus Force, but I'm telling you they should, because it's a perfect example of ONPASSIVE. And it is a course in mastering alchemy. Our subconscious minds, our subtle energy techniques that we use are all part of our ascension into the future. How we think of the job that we're doing, how we think of our energy body, how we let go, the energy codes that we use, channeling the Council of Light, for example, is one of the most interesting books out there also, because love is the key to activating every cell in your body, your DNA, and the unlocking of the ascension codes that lie within you. We're moving into the fifth dimension in high speed right now. And we need to learn about subtle body energy and how to use what they call whole brain living. They have found we have brains in our gut. We have a brain in our heart. We have a subconscious and a conscious brain, right, left brain thinking. We have all of these states that work together simultaneously to keep us all human. We have to become consciously aware that the words that we use, superior is a good word, but I can think of many, many more that encompass the strength that Mr. Mafara has created with ONPASSIVE. I have bookshelves of books. I have studied for years about higher dimensions. I've had 2 near-death experiences. I can tell you stories about the intervention from the other side. And some night, maybe while we're chatting here in the middle of the night, I'll tell you a few. Right now, I want you to know what you've got in your hands. And if you fail to join ONPASSIVE, where we were sharing and bringing in founders, that's not the end. You can join ONPASSIVE for free. You can email me and say, Willow, I want to get in. How do I get in? And I'll introduce you to some of our free software that you can go in and you can experiment with it. While you do it, you're going to be earning a little cash on the side. And when you see how lucrative belonging to ONPASSIVE is, you're going to know that I didn't lie to you. You can make as much income as a retirement income with one one reseller's position on ONPASSIVE. And you can get into being a reseller through different avenues. And if you're interested, please email me and I'll talk to you about it, because I'm still reaching out to all the people I love and saying, don't let this pass you by. We're headed into a recession, whether they're convincing you that no, we're not in it. Well, go to the grocery store and tell me we're not in a recession. Tell me inflation hasn't eaten a hole in your wallet. I tell you, I struggle every day and I can hardly keep my head above water. And I'd be a liar if I said I didn't worry about it, because I do. I had people that are dependent upon me. And so I'm anxious for ONPASSIVE to launch. And when we do, I want to have you with me. I want to know those people I care so much about that have come to my assistance when I least expected it, that I could do something fine for them. We could get you in as a reseller, and you won't have to do anything else unless you want to. Unless you want to go out and get more of your friends to join you, but you don't have to do that. So I'm saying it's not over yet. ONPASSIVE is going to hit the world like that tidal wave I saw in the sky. It's going to change how we do business. The products we have are phenomenal. And I'm going to talk about them every night when I come on here. We're going to have conversations with different people. I want to talk to some strategists, to some people that will tell us about how we can handle the money that we're going to be bringing in. I talked today for 2.5 hours to a lovely lady in my credit union, finding out that things. Hi, Pat, darling. How good to see you in the middle of the night. I'm so glad you're here. Anyway, we were talking about the superiority of ONPASSIVE. Well, when I was talking to my she was so sweet. She was in her 30s, and she says, Willow, she said, could I ask you? She says, I could look at your file, but how old are you? Because I was giving her the long story about how long I worked, and yada, yada, yada. You know how I love to talk. And she says, oh my God, and you're going into a new career? I said, this is a career you cannot miss with. And she says, well, can I email me? email you? Because she says, I sure in the heck would like to find out about it. And I says, oh, yes, I will. I will do everything I can. Hi, Susan. Your better half here too? Oh, bless you, Philip and Susan. I'm so glad you're with me, and Pat, Terrence. I didn't advertise this at all, so I didn't really expect anybody to drop in, and I'm just really delighted about it. Um, I don't even have my son here. I think he's in Neverland already tonight. There was no way I was going to sleep. I was listening and listening intently to the other people that were on the webinar tonight. And I thought to myself, how many are just like me, dying to talk about what they were doing and how they were doing in ONPASSIVE and how what the struggles were. That's what I want to find out on my channel. I want to find out about your struggles. I want to find out where your heart is. I want to talk about raising your elevations and your heartfelt emotions. Put it out there to everybody, yes, but we need to share. We need to share what really unique human beings we are. And that's what I want to do. So I want you to go down in the uh, place where it shows in my YouTube channel, email me and tell me, I want to come on and talk to you, Willow, and I'll bring you on and we'll talk. And I can get up to 8 people per session. So we could start doing groups of 8. You know, there's great power in the number 8. If you want to do any healing, collect 8 people with a common determination to help others heal. The power of 8 is bigger than you can imagine. So if we do it in groups of 8, we're going to give ourselves a little bit of power. So, and we will do that. And I have not been really healthy lately. And so I promised, like Susan and Philip, you know, a long time ago, I was going to do this wholeheartedly. And I had a dear friend. It's hard for me to talk about this without crying. Like Susan and Philip, not too very long ago, they sent me a gift in the mail, and it was substantial. And I was so appreciative. I couldn't put it into words. Well, the same thing happened to me this morning. We've been having such a hard time with getting by with the inflation, and things were piling up. And then my sister died, and it's just bad. Our car was in the shop for the 5th time in 2 months. And so it was like things like that were hitting me. Ah, Tanya, how are you, darling? I'm glad you're here. We're just chatting, sweetie, just about everything and nothing, but I'm glad you're here with us. Anyway, out of the blue, PayPal sends me a notice and they said, you got money. And I thought, did John send John's my husband? This is John send me something, you know? And I looked, and these darling friends, clients of mine, had been praying for me since I had my heart attack. And they were worried. They felt that the world was getting pretty tough out there right now. And he's an engineer, and she is a sweet. She's so much more than just a housewife, but right now that's what she does. She takes care of him. They sent me a gift that came at the exact perfect time. I couldn't have planned it if I'd have tried. And if you, again, I don't mean to be preachy about God because I'm more of a spiritualist than I am a religious person, but I believe in God and Jesus. And when the time comes, I know I'm taken care of. But I didn't realize the value so much. One, that I don't know how to accept a gift. I don't, when somebody wants to give me something, I just stumble all over myself because it's so unusual for me to be on the receiving end. And so I become a blubbering idiot, And so we set an appointment to talk. And I thought to myself, when I got off the email and I had thanked them, when I had enlisted them to join as founders, they were just starting on a new career too and had recently moved to California. I'm not they're going to use names because I hadn't talked to them about it. But they were on a new quest too. And out of love for me, they joined ONPASSIVE because they didn't know anything about it either. Well, they ended up putting their kids on. And now, after I got off the email and I was in tears, I got a vision from God that showed them on a hilltop with greenhouses around them, holding on to each other in such a blissful way. I knew that somehow I had helped that happen. So when I tell you to share with others, there's more to sharing and giving than receiving. But when you receive and know that you have shared your heart with somebody and your passions, there is something so very rewarding about that. It made me fall to my knees in humility. I was so terribly grateful. When I saw Chris tonight, Chris Johnson, I got that same feeling. He helps so many people. He goes out and he talks and he's always laughing, he's always happy, always lifting other people up. And I really must tell you right now, he needs us to lift him up and carry him on our shoulders for a while because he is a worthwhile, worthy man. There were times when I first started, he used to drive me nuts. I said, oh, he's always too, the people that get up in the morning, they're all happy all the time, and you feel like you've been run over by a truck. You want to just smack them. I used to I said, if you laugh one more time, Chris, I'm going to kill you, But I think of his sweet face and his heart tonight. It made me, I just had to get online and talk about it. He doesn't need us to feel sorry for him. Hello, Jeannie, darling. I love you. I'm glad you're here with us. We're talking about our sweet Chris. I know that Chris doesn't need to be propped up. He's not asking anything of us. But I want you to know that sometimes when we're laughing out loud and we're lifting others up, there are parts of us inside that are dying. Or else trying to find the way to rise above it. When I lost my sister this month, since I started with ONPASSIVE, I've lost my oldest son, my oldest daughter, my 3 sisters, and good friends, mostly due to COVID. My oldest daughter right now has COVID. And we've been just sitting on pins and needles. And she's getting better, thank you, God, every day. But my little daughter, just here in West Virginia, she got over it, but she has what they call continuing COVID. So she's really having a hard time. So I understood, when Chris is talking about losing people, you never lose anybody. They're right there over your shoulder saying, don't do this, don't do that. My mother nags at me from morning to nighttime. But their presence, their physical presence, is so greatly missed. Uh, and I felt so compassionate for Chris tonight. I wanted to reach across the world and put him down in my lap in the rocking chair and make his heart feel better. And I didn't know how to do it except to pray for him. So I'm asking you, from one old psychic to another, because all of you are psychic in your own way, pray for his heart because he needs it. Even though he's strong, he's a wonderful father, he's a fine example of a fine man. There are days he makes me crazy, but I love him. And I want you to remember to love him because he does things for people out of the goodness of his heart. He doesn't have to get kudos for it. He just believes in it so much. So, like Marty DeGarmo, they're two of my favorites. And I've had people ask me, why do you like Marty? I adore Marty. I adore Marty DeGarmo. And I would walk through fire for him. And I have a good friend, Jolie. She says, I don't know what's the matter with you. And I said, nothing. I see his heart. There's the difference. You know when somebody's good. You just know when somebody's good. And Ash knows how to pick them because he's good. So we're going to start this weekend off with promises to pray for Chris, to thank God for the blessings of ONPASSIVE, and to do like I did. Go to your credit union, talk to the beautiful people that are there that will tell you about all the ways that you can handle the money that you're going to be getting that I didn't even think about. My credit union has this super share account that I found I could put, I have extra positions in founder positions. And so I didn't know how, if I was going to get a separate account for each of them and everything. And I found out I can, they're categorized by tax number, I could have one large share account with no limit and you get interest on it. So I could take from all of my founder positions, put the money in, and you can categorize it by each account it comes from, so you don't get in trouble with your taxes. So I was really happy about that because my son has extra positions, my husband does, and my two daughters, and even my daughter's stepmother and sister. We got them a position, and I was just delighted to find out that most credit unions have what they call super saver accounts, that there's no limit to the amount you can put in there. It's still insured. Like most of the time, if you have a savings account, you have 250,000 in it, and that's the cap for FDIC insurance, but not with the super shares. So I was really happy. So I come home in a good mood after I found that out. But we've got time between all of us to figure out what we're going to do with our business, how we're going to make it grow, how we're going to share with each other, how are we going to teach our kids to appreciate something that we've been promising them all their lives and they didn't believe us? But, all of this is, all of this is just really, we're marking time here in a way, but it is for us to share with each other, to hold each other up, to share our little bits of info like I got today about the credit union. Your credit union might not be the same, but we could find out. The lady told me, she says, that's pretty standard with credit unions. And I was so relieved. I can't tell you because I was thinking, oh God, I'm going to have a headache. I'm going to need old desk really bad, because I've got all these, what I wanted to do. And Ash, I don't know if you guys remember when Ash said, hey, we're going to see about where you could have two people with one account. And I said, oh, thank you, God. I was so excited about that. I am perfectly fine, Lynn, darling. I have not gone off the deep end. I'm just very excited. I get overexcited. But I am so glad you were here, darling. I didn't see you come in. Anyway, as I was saying, I forgot what the hell I was saying. Anyway, going back to finding and sharing pieces of information, that's what I wanted to talk about mostly. Stay for a while, Lynn, and give us your 2 cents. You little energizer bunny, you're everywhere, darling. I was so impressed with all of you people tonight. I just had to impromptu do a live, so I had the things I wanted to say, and so this is the way we can do it. I want to get everybody to get their own YouTube. And I want to tell you about another thing I found out. All of you, like Susan Torres that's here, her and her husband were the first ones that were on my first live. And I've done blog talk radio for years and years, but nothing face to face like this. So this was a new adventure for me. Did not know how to use YouTube. But I was very frustrated with Zoom. I was praying Ash would go ahead and launch OConnect, but it kept getting longer and longer. And so I found Restream, Restream. Restream for $16 a month. You could broadcast in two places, 2 or 3. I'm not quite sure. I know 2, but I think it's 3. You could probably do TikTok too. Broadcast at the same time for $16 a month. They set up your studio just like Zoom does, and you go live instantaneously without all the hassle of going through. Lynn, it shows up automatically in my my Restream when it tells you you're in the studio, and then when you want to go live, you go into the live section. I got chat overlay on the right under the default section. I click on that, but I also get it. It shares with me right beside my screen too. So we have chat from, what they do is they combine them. I have chat from Facebook and chat from YouTube. And it works great. With, sometimes I'll miss people when they come in. Lynn, I will find where I talked to a lady on Restream. I went in and asked a question with their bot or whatever, their chat bot. And I got a live body, and I talked to a live body, and they're the ones that told me how to set up the studio, how to pick if I'm going to have 5 to 8 people with me, how I do that. They told me about the chats and the captions, and even now they've got with Restream, you can create pre-recorded sessions, which I intend to do because sometimes I can't be on because my husband is ill, and I could have a pre-recorded uh, thing that I could just broadcast as live. And so I love Restream, and I am going to upgrade when ONPASSIVE gets going because I intend to keep soliciting help from all my founder friends on YouTube. Uh, I think you should too, Lynn. I think you should get away from Zoom. I have all I have all my clients are on Zoom, and I'm afraid that they're not protected. And that I had, when you talk to somebody and you're in a very personal session with someone and they're revealing very personal things about themselves, I've always been frightened to think that maybe who was listening in. And I found out about a year ago that a lot of those conversations were listened to. And you know how I found out? They critiqued a few of them for me. Zoom did and sent it back to me. Maybe, Jeannie, did I get a haircut? No, I got my weed eater out. I tell you, it was driving me nuts. My hair was, it gets in my eyes and I can't stand it. So I started with a little bit over here, and then a little bit back here, then a little bit of. It's one where I'm not bald because I cut off about, about a pound of hair, and now I told Jason, I said, Jason, I'm not going in and having anybody touch this hair till it all grows out. I'm ashamed of it. I said, I want you to trim up the back for me. He says, Mama, I'm not going to do it. He said, forget it. I said, you can do that with your clippers, you know. I can't talk him into it. So I got to go to my daughter and have her shave my hair up. Because I tell you what, I'm one of those that I don't like people fussing over me. So I would give myself a haircut all the time when I was young. But I was I was much more clever then. I just cut off chunks. I was tired of it. But I used to have hair last year clear down to the middle of my back. And I wore my hair long in a long braid for many years because our family is Native American. And there's this kind of a superstitious way, especially with the men. When you cut your hair, they say you lose your power and it's not a good thing, you know. So because of some of the religious things of the Native American, uh, say they, I grew my hair long, you know, for years and years, and I got terrible headaches. So I started cutting it off just a little bit at a time. Then pretty soon I was bald almost, you know, because it was so much cooler and I didn't have to mess with it, you know. But I don't like to go to a beauty shop because I don't like to sit there for long periods of time. I'm one of those hyperactive nitwits, and I don't like to sit in a closed uh, shop type of thing. So I don't go unless I absolutely am going someplace that I really need to look a little better than something like an old farm wife, you know, from out in the boonies. But you are so sweet to tell me that it looks good. I was thinking, oh, I can't do anything with it because this side's shorter and this side is, you know. I was thinking when I was curling it, I thought, oh, I really am screwed up this time. You make my heart sing for telling me it looks okay. I want to get my dog past see if I can behave myself here. Um, Jeannie, do you know that? I don't want to preach to anybody, but 17 to 20% of the population of not only people but animals in the world are super sensitive people. They have super consciousness. And when I was at the University of Virginia, over 10 years ago, they did a study about supersensitive people and those that could read auras and those that instinctively knew when people were off their Wheaties, you know. You knew that something bad was coming down. And it was very interesting to find. It took 10 years before someone published the results of all of those studies. And they found out, you know, the supersensitive people of the world and the empathic people are another group that are completely ignored in society. However, scientifically, it has been proven, you know, their capabilities years ago, years ago. So I was always afraid. I never went to work and said I'm a psychic because you'd have been fired the next day, you know, or else they'd have found a way to get rid of you because they didn't want anybody knowing the color of their shorts. And, you know, that's what they always afraid you can see right through them. Most of the time you can. But I think, you know, when Judy said just a little bit ago in chat, she gets nervous in crowds too. I can't go in a store like Walmart. I could go in and I could stay for about maybe 30 minutes at the max. And then I got to get out because I hear not only the voices of everybody in there, the minds of all the people in there, I hear from the other side too. I was standing at a Walmart, the last big Walmart I was in, and I looked up and I saw this whole row of souls going from the front of the store out through the back. And it was just like a whole troop going through. And I stood there and I watched and I watched and I watched. And I couldn't really tell if they were on this side or if they were on the other side. So I was looking at them and they looked at me and they looked and they shook their head and they just kept right on walking. So I got home and I sat down to meditate because I wanted to know why they were showing me all of that. I knew eventually that was on the way home, that was a vision of something to come. And they said that it was souls exiting the earth due to a mass shooting. And no time, they didn't give me any times when this would happen. And I haven't seen a real mass shooting with the groups of people that I've seen at Walmart as yet. But on the other side, there's no time. Time is a circle of you could go forward or you could go backward in time on the other side. It goes like a circle. And they never give you a date when something is going to happen. So from that day forward, I send my kids into Walmart and out. They can't they can't be in there more than 15 minutes before their mother comes unglued, you know. But you know, we don't always know who we get warnings, who they belong to, what they're about until later. I used to stop my guides, the elders on the other side. I have a group of guides on the other side that I call the elders, and they're Archangel Michael, Uriel, Jesus, Mary, and Jesus' grandmother. And Mary Magdalene, and I talk to them off and on all the time, and they give me advice, but they don't give me dates. And so I told them, if you're going to show me a plane crash and you're not going to put any numbers on it, and I don't know who, and I see dead bodies falling out of it, I said, I'm done with that. And they quit sending it to me. I used to get, before plane crashes, they used to drive me insane because I couldn't call up somebody and said, hey, there's a large plane coming down in this area and very soon, and it's going to be, you know, devastating. The same with train wrecks. So I don't get those anymore, and I thank God for that because I don't think they think my heart can stand it anymore. So they only give me stuff that makes me feel good. But a lot of people don't understand um, how why when super sensitives. I got off track here. Super sensitives can't always deal in public like other people can, and empaths especially. Empaths take on other people's illnesses because they don't know how to get rid of it. Like they they have such a strong urge to heal, so they incorporate the illness that they're looking at. If they look at someone's uh, body, and then they don't know how to get rid of it, and it causes illness within their body until they learn how to put it back where it belongs. You know, you can look at it, but you don't have to wash it through your body when you do look at it. Uh, I'm not a healer, I'm a facilitator. I facilitate healing, but I think as an empath, that's the only way you could really look like that. I sure can ask them, Dave, but I don't have a whole lot of pull on the other side. They get kind of tired of this old woman. Um, I'll tell you what you do, and I don't want you to think I'm crazy. Please, I want you to sit quietly and do like a sleep mask, a mask that completely shuts out the light, David. And I want you to put it on and sit quietly with your hands in your lap. And I want you to connect with your higher self. You hear healers and you hear metaphysical people out there telling you, get rid of that ego. Hell no, you don't get rid of your ego. You don't get rid of your subconscious. Your subconscious is your friend. It is the connection between you and God. And anything that you turn into your subconscious, they register it, and it goes out there into the collective. So when you want answers, say you want answers to problems you're having, I want you to sit quietly with your mask on your face and say, hey, sub, I got a question here, and I want you to give me an answer. You know, I I healed my cancer. It was as large as a grapefruit when it started, but by the time I really got it full blown, it was almost the size of a basketball in my uterus. I healed it in 3 months' time by every day telling my subconscious I need to chip off a little bit of that this week. And I worked on it. I used to create like little Pac-Man in my mind, and I'd send them on a journey to gobble up that tumor. And they did. My body did that. People do not realize, David. Now, I'm not making slight of your problems, that you're having problems with your health. A lot of it comes from our own self destructive ways. I never felt I was worthy for anything. I was always in trouble health wise because of that. I still am to this day. I have to work at it really hard. But what you need to do is ask questions of your higher self, and you'll get answers back in ways you will not understand. There are people like I call them old sub, how I get the higher self to talk to me is by meditating. If you don't meditate and you don't get deep within, I can give you guys list. I've been reading for 25, 30 years from every good practitioner out there. And I'll give you a list of books that will help you. And David, you need to learn about subtle body energy. Subtle Body Energy by, let me think of her name. I forget it all the time. Cindy Dale. I know what yours is. Yours is physical, but your mind creates the physical problems you have in your body, David. I'm gonna kill my husband. He's coming in here. He's in his skivvies, and he didn't know I was on. I knew he was gonna do that one day. I'm sorry. Hurry up. It's a wonder that the cat doesn't come and jump up on my. But anyway, David, listen to me. Cindy Dale has a very good book, many books. She has many, many books out on subtle body energy. And all of us need to know. Yeah, he's a spirit, all right. He's a little white Casper the ghost. He comes scrolling in here in his pajamas. I'm sorry. Tanya, I'm so glad you come in, honey. I didn't mean to scare everybody tonight. I do get visits. I get orbs that fly over, and a lot of people see them, and I don't pay any attention. Orbs are friendly things most of the time, unless they're black. Oh yeah, I know. I'm going to kill him. he's he's going to be sleeping on the couch for a few weeks. Anyway, I'm only kidding. We've been married for so long. Cindy Dale. It's Cindidale. She writes the best books in the world. Seeing orbs is the first entry into entering into the realm of the fifth dimension, really. We're moving out of the third into the fourth, and we haven't even identified the fourth till we're moving into the fifth. And so there's a great transition happening right now. And a lot of people are seeing things they never seen before. There's nothing wrong with that. We're all sensitives. We wouldn't be in ONPASSIVE if we weren't sensitive people. We just wouldn't be. It's part of who we are. And when I say I see your spirit, I'll tell you right up front. I can tell the good from the bad in a heartbeat. And I just choose not to have anything to do with the bad or the ones that they call bad. I don't call anybody bad. I think they're just misguided and they're on a wrong direction and they have to fix it. But I don't hang around people that, give me grief. I don't have to take that anymore, and so I don't. I didn't mean to get into the metaphysical. I'm on the wrong channel to be doing that. Asher's going to come after me, I'm afraid. So I'm going to be good. I'm going to talk about ONPASSIVE for sure the rest of the night. I want people to come in, though, and I want them to be able to talk to me, and I don't have to lie to them. Or I don't have to keep my mouth shut because somebody says you talk too much. I want you to come in, get on with me. We'll get 6 or 7 people. We'll talk all night. I do not care. And we'll talk about ONPASSIVE. And we will make other people understand why it's so important they join us. It is important that we connect through the heart. We move our anxiety up out of our gut and into our heart, and it becomes coherent with your brain. Marvelous things can happen. When Ash tells you to lift your vibrations, to think big, that's just another way of saying just exactly what I said. your dreams, your hopes. That's why I want you to come on and tell me what you hope is going to happen to you with the gifts of ONPASSIVE. I want my farm and I want my tractor and I want to get out when I'm 90 and I want to mow 20 acres. That's my joy. But I want each and every one of you to feel comfortable enough with me that anything's okay. You could be yourself. You could talk about your fears, and I'll tell you how to get rid of them. You could talk about your decisions you have to make in your life, and we'll work through them. I don't think there's anything wrong with that because how are we going to help other people if we don't help each other? And when my friend sent me that gift in the email, I never asked for it. She didn't even know that my sister had died. She just was so tuned in with love for me that it didn't matter. The same with my friends, Susan and Philip. They just loved me. And so I was overjoyed with gratitude. And I think if we're going to help others on the street and help others have a better life, we got to help each other. Because some of us are suffering. Some of us are having a really hard time at home. And it's not always easy to say, oh, it's all right, I can wait. No, some of us are dying for it to get started because it's a matter of life and death for many people. And I think it's wrong to say, don't complain about that. I don't think it's complaining. I think it's fear coming out of you. Does that make sense to you guys? I think when people gripe about it not launching, it's because they're scared to death it's not going to. So I'm not gonna be I've been a radical all my damn life. I don't know how not to be. So when I was in college, they saw me coming, boy, I tell you. They investigated me for everything at the three colleges that I was in. And I'm telling you, they never did find out anything concrete. So I was in the remote viewing group with the military when I worked for the DOD also. That should give you a start. I was looking at military things across the world and drawing pictures of them for people. So you guys don't know how powerful you are. David said he believed Ash is a saint. Well, let me tell you something about that. Ash is a man. However, Archangel Uriel told me, the group of elders that they're called the Elders of the Light, told me every generation selected individuals are brought forward to do great things because of their heart and their intentions, like Mother Teresa, like people that we don't hear about. However, Ash, I don't think they come down and anointed him and say, hey, you're it, you know. I think he was created from birth to do great things. And in his heart, he's very, very spiritual. So I think he lifted his heart for help, and they answered. Now, that's just my opinion, because I know some of the things that have happened to me in my life at moments of when I was in the greatest despair were all for a reason. You have to realize there's more to us than the physical body. And the spiritual body with Ash, when you look at him psychically, is like two connected people. He steps over to the other side, and he steps to this side. He's intra-dimensional. Most gifted people are intra-dimensional. They have light bodies. I don't know if he's aware of that, but I do know that he was chosen. I was told that by Archangel Uriel point blank. He was one of the chosen to do a specific task in this lifetime to advance humanity. And that's exactly what he has been chosen for. And that's what he's doing. So when I look at him and I start crying, and I do it every single time, and I get so mad at myself, I say, well, you dumb fool, he's going to think you're just a blubbering old lady, which I'm sure he does anyway. But his heart makes me weep because he is so gifted, not only with intelligence, but with a sense of honor that would put us all to shame. Most of us all to shame. Not all. Marty runs a close second behind him. A lot of people don't see it, but I do. Ash went through hard times, and he knows what it's like to carry the cross. And I think that he'll lift us up in the end. And I have faith in my group on the other side because I want to teach you something that's really important to me that I learned from the elders of the light years ago. It's how to manage people in your life that are unpleasant and cause you great grief. And how to, how you get in a car and you've got some road rage booger on your tail, how you can take care of them. There's a little process in life called grounding that metaphysical people talk about all the time. But they miss a real important part of grounding. It is both electrical and mental. I mean, it's metallic. It is two processes in one. And the best way that you can ground your spirit so you do not absorb other people's misery is to envision in your meditation that you have an electrical pipe that just runs right down from the end of your spine down into the core of the earth. And then the second phase is you wrap a cord around that pipe and it buffers it. So when you are dealing with people that are obstructing you, all you need to do is ground yourself to earth, set up a shield, what I call a boundary, and don't let people cross it. Some people do it with a rose. They'll envision a rose and envision putting the rose down in the earth, and no one can get to you between you and the rose. And everything with you that belongs to you is behind the rose, and everything that belongs to the world is on the other side of the rose. That's one way you could do that. You could create a circle of protection around you with that rose that people can't break through. And you know what? I use it. They had in their book that they wrote, I forget what it's called, Internal Light or something like that. Keepers of the Light. I'll remember and tell you the next time. Anyway, whenever I had bad drivers on my tail, I put a rose on my bumper and I envision it there, and it gets bigger in my mind's eye. And if they get too close, I push it forward toward them, off my bumper toward their car. I've had numerous cars back off me in a flash and go around me like they're shot out of a cannon. I don't know whether they see that rose or if somewhere in their mind it triggers it, but I think it's kind of fun. When you get too close to me, I'm going to rose you to death. And there's simple things you could do with that rose. If somebody gets too close, you can explode that rose, and it sends all the crap that you're getting handed to you back to the sender. You just have to concentrate in your mind, blowing that rose up. And it's a very good technique to use, when you're besieged by troubles that you can't handle. Gee, I got into weight stuff I didn't have any intention whatsoever of talking about. David, I'm going to blame it all on you, lovey. No, I'm only kidding. Yes, you could coat yourself with silver or gold. Gold is a very, very good deflector, David. Uh, yes, reflect it off like a mirror. Jeannie, absolutely correct. You can deflect most everything, with the exception if you're dealing with dark energy. And then that's another story we'll have to get into at another time because it's kind of in depth. But I think that when we get into ONPASSIVE, really, we're all going to have to hit the ground running and we're going to be scared. A lot of us are not going to know what to do. Full armor of God, that's true. I use Archangel Michael's shield and his sword. And I think you probably see me on Facebook. Every once in a while, I'll post his sword and I'll say, "Are you ready?" Because things are going to come down. And I want you to pick up his shield. Even Jesus Christ said, "I don't come to bring you peace. I come to bring you a sword." So remember that. We are here to protect ourselves using the full armor of God. But don't lay down or let anybody ride over you. That's not our job. And so, uh, absolutely, Patricia, I totally agree. I'll tell you a story about my near death experience and how I found out who was real and who was not real in my life. And it is a fascinating story. I had two of them, one when I was 16 and one when I had my third child. And they're humorous. So anything about me is humorous. I go around laughing at my own problems. So I'm that kind of person. But one night when we're in here and the dark of night is covering us, we will have a chat about near death experiences too, because they're fun. I used to do post hypnotic suggestions with people, and I was a hypnotist also, a licensed hypnotist to work in the medical field. I did that for a little while until I had children. I had to work because I couldn't handle it. But past life regression became one of my passions too, and I did a lot of that. And I found a lot about life through past life regression. And I used to have a great hard time forgiving anybody. Like if you hurt me, I would have hurt you back, but I would never have anything to do with you again. And I did a past life regression for a woman that was racked with guilt. So there was three doctors and myself. We took her down into a really deep hypnosis, the combination of all three of us. And the story that she had about her past life gave us all chills that we took into the future. let me tell you. It was about she was a guard uh, in the Holocaust. She was part of the experimentation crew that experimented with people's skin and the atrocious things they did to women and their bodies. So she kept having bouts of cancer. She had bouts of hysteria. She couldn't get in a room that was enclosed and stay there in real life. And so that was why she was having past life regressions. Well, we found out that she had agreed, like most people do, to assume that life and assume that job of being that guard. And she thought she could handle it. And she did handle it. She had a very long life, but she died soon after the Jews were uh, rescued. She took her own life. But what she told us, she said that they had asked her before she incarnated if she could do this, and she said yes. She thought that she could handle it. But when she told us what she went through in that lifetime and what that lifetime was still doing to her in this lifetime, we were very careful of our thoughts afterward from that day forward, because she said that even though there's forgiveness on the other side, you never forgive yourself for what you do to others. And I come to know that firsthand through my near-death experience, because I had what they called a lifetime review. And one of the takeaways from that review was that everything that you do to harm another, you have to experience yourself. And you experience it there while you're watching it, and you have to experience it again in another lifetime. So from that day forward, I decided I'm not going to pick a fight with anybody anymore. I used to be a pistol when I was a little feisty bugger. And if you got in my face, I'd deck you, because I learned to take care of myself when I was a correctional officer. So I wasn't a bit scared to clean your clock if you threatened me. But then I found out, oh my God, all the lifetimes I'm going to have in the future. I don't like to think of them. There is nothing impossible and nothing that's not forgiven. Don't misunderstand me here, please. And I'm not making a joke out of something that was really scary. However, I learned that even those that society will not forgive sometimes are more forgivable than the people who condemn them. I could talk to you all night about the stories I had with alcoholics and how I've given money to alcoholics, and people have said, why did you do that? They'll just get drunk. That's not the point. A lot of alcoholics are really wounded people that can't deal with the problems of life. And instead of giving them good medical care, until the 12-step programs come through, there was very little that was done for them, But I digress. I'm completely off the subject tonight. And I need to get my act together here. So we will get back to ONPASSIVE, I promise you. David, listen, darling, I don't do regression therapy anymore because I'm getting too old for it. You have to be a really strong individual to buffer the problems that can come with uh, past life regression. So I leave that to the younger people that are far stronger, much better equipped than I am at this time of my life. Uh, you can learn to regress yourself, David, in, like I told you, start meditating with the uh, mask. I'm going to do some shows on the other channel I have on um, metaphysical things, and I'm going to teach people how to meditate with a mask, how to get into very deep meditation and connect with your higher self. I'm going to teach people how to do that in that channel, and so I will. Uh, I totally understand, David. I totally understand. My husband did that too after he got out of Vietnam. Now, I think I got I think I got completely blown away today. I was so I was so impressed with Chris tonight and how open he was with his heart that I just had to do something. I had to let somebody know I can help you. Come on, talk to me, and we'll get this out in the open, and you will walk away from it. And I do that. That's what I do for people. I heal, and so whenever you need me in your dreams, in your waking hours, just reach out and say, Willow, do you hear me? And I bet you the next day I'll tell you, I heard you. Because my guide goes out and finds people for me. I don't know how he does it. His name is Joseph. So if Joseph ever comes to you and says, you need to talk to Willow, listen to him. He knows what he's talking about. But I don't do it much anymore because I get so tired. I only have so many hours in the day, and I would be working 24/7 if I could. Philip and Susan will tell you the kind of hours that I used to spend. Oh dear me. Uh, I love you, Susan. I remember those fires. Oh dear. You know, there's nothing wrong with having fun and lightening up, sharing our hearts, finding new ways to exist in a world that's in heavy turmoil right now. And I want to tell you, a lot of people spread a lot of crap. There's war in heaven. Baloney. No, 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 no. That's not true. There's a shift, and it happens every 5, 10,000 years. There's a conjunctive thing that's happening in the universe that's moving us into a higher elevation. It's called the fifth dimension. And a lot of people are stepping out of the third, into the fourth, into the fifth, and they don't know what to do where they're at. I was sitting on my porch one morning, and we have this busy little road out in front of us, in front of the river. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, there's traffic all the time. Everybody's going to work. It's a country road. Well, I went out. I like to sit on the porch when it's cool. And I went out on the porch with my cat, and I was sitting there in my rocking chair. I was watching. And everything in my sight turned to brick and stone and cobblestone on a highway, cobblestones on my driveway, uh, willow trees, which I don't have in my yard or in my field anywhere. Uh, and I sat there and I thought, oh, you're tripping this morning. What did you put in your tea? And I couldn't figure out what was going on. It had happened to me before, but not quite this dramatic. And then there went a horse and a buggy by, and then a carriage went by. High carriage, one of those old ones that you'd see in Europe. And I saw markers, street markers on the roads. And so I said, if I get up, it's all going to go away. I wanted to write down what I was seeing. So I tried to remember everything I was seeing. So pretty soon I looked down and I looked at my cat and I moved him off my lap and boom, I looked up and it was back to normal. And this is how I found about shifting into the fifth dimension and doing what is called future memory or past memory. Because time is in a loop. It's a constant loop, circle. And you can go back and forth without even knowing it. Some of our elders, like in nursing homes and people that are ill, when you're taking care of your elders, remember this, because they can come on this side or the other side just as easy as they step through a shadow. It's most of the people that are in what they call palliative care are in that kind of neverland, in and out, in and out, in and out. So I was in another dimension, but only for a little while. And so I remembered some of the names that were on the signpost. And on the sides of the carriages that went by, I wrote them down. And I did some research. And it was streets and little towns in this area in the 1800s had the same, writing and stuff. So I had shifted in time somehow, just in a blink of an eye, backwards in time. There's a good book out called Future Memory by P.M. Atwater. If you want to read something that'll make your hair stand on end, read that, because it tells you what our children are experiencing right now, the young children of the world that we're not aware of. They're coming in fully equipped, DNA, 12-strand DNA and all. So there are some changes coming to us, and we're all going to experience it. And ONPASSIVE is part of that. And I want you to know that you're in the right place. I don't care what anybody tells you. You didn't make a wrong decision when you joined ONPASSIVE. You may think I'm crazy, but you will find out you're going to be getting a little nutsy as you get older, too. Like Pat Parrott is very solid in her belief in God. So am I, but in a different manner. Her God is my God. We just look at it different. And if we don't start believing that, and we don't start practicing that, we're going to become monsters in the real world. And our government is a reflection of that right now. We have no right to judge how people worship. And I've studied every religion under the sun, every religion. All of them mean something to me, all of them. So until we can reach that level, we're going to be throwing rocks at each other for a long time. And we got to get over that. Your belief is your belief, and I respect it to the max. And when I ask you to have tolerance of my beliefs, I expect the same thing in return. And when we start living like that, pretty soon things can get very exciting. Oh, David, you're right. My little nephew, holy moly, they know more than I ever thought. Judy, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for coming. And Pat, my beautiful Pat, how I love you. God loves you too, girl. You got something to tell people. Just keep telling them. Hi, Judy. Geez, I'm getting a bunch of people here, and I've been carrying on like an old banshee. I'm part Irish and half Native American. I got an excuse for being crazy. You know what I found out? from the tech guys tonight. I've been very intolerant of them because half the time I can't understand a damn word they say. So I got really tuned in tonight. And I just opened my heart. And I said to myself, I'm going to listen no matter what and find out what they can tell me. Ah, oh, Pat, thank you for sharing, honey. I didn't expect that of you. I am bad about sharing. So I will put them on my Facebook page and I'll put them on my other pages, group pages, but I don't know too much about YouTube yet. But I want to take all of your guys' stuff and put it on my YouTube channel, and I can't figure out how to do that yet. I save it, but I don't know if that's enough. I want people to be able to come in and look at what I have, and they can pick up your things too. But I haven't learned how to do that yet. But I'm learning, and if somebody can tell me, I will be so appreciative. Um, needless to say, I want to tell you how much it's meant to me tonight having you here. I thought, geez, I can't compete with all these people in the webinars and stuff out there. They're going to want to come and listen to Soul Woman all the time. I don't like Facebook anymore either, Susan. I don't like Facebook, but I love my friends that are on there. I'll help you, David, with YouTube. When I find out something, I'll share it with you, honey. Facebook is a vehicle. I ignore those that I don't like. I don't give out anything real personal on Facebook, except like tonight I just did. I'll become infamous now on Facebook. Oh, Pat, I need to download onto my desktop and then take it from my desktop and upload it to my own channel. Is that how you do it? I will do that. I'll probably spend the whole damn day because I got so many people I want to add to it. David, I think we are going to have a much safer internet, but I'm not too hot for ONET. I don't go in there anymore and post, and I should. But there for a while, I didn't know what to post, because I'm one of those. I post a lot on Facebook, help things, lift your spirit kind of thing, I'm not that knowledgeable about some things, so I don't know. I don't feel comfortable there. That's just me, though. I think it'll change. I think he's going to change it, and I think we'll see a different side of it once it is launched. But right now, I don't know. I'm not too hot about that one. But we're going to have. That's one thing I hope we don't get in trouble for. We're going to have some of the stuff that we're not going to need. We're not going to have to love it all, but we have to respect it all. We're certainly not going to badmouth it. And we're not going to say, hey, no, don't go there. I wasn't saying that about ONET. I would just say, I don't feel comfortable there because I don't know what to say there. But other people are doing great. So, don't let me, I'm not being negative about anything that ONPASSIVE's got. I was thinking about that, Pat, but joining YouTube Premium, but it was a little expensive for me right now. I'm already paying for Restream and God knows what else I'm paying for. YouTube, David, is not that difficult. And you know what? Our little Julie Winion, or Win, I love her. She loves to help people. Send her an email and say she's got 2 videos now out on how to create your your channel on uh, YouTube. So check. She has much more knowledge than I do. I don't know how to do some of the fine tuning like Pat does, and how to upload and all of that. And I'm just learning that. I'm learning from other people. So, but I know that Julie has two very. I think Judy, if Judy's still with us, I think Judy went through. Uh, well, that's the wrong Judy. The other Judy. Uh, she went through the Julie's descriptive videos, and she said they were excellent. So I would suggest you do that. I'm going to go watch them next week if I could grab the time, because I don't know how to enable comments on my uh, things that I've already downloaded, and so I've got to. And oh my gosh. I'm seeing part of it, Christina, but not all of it, honey. I didn't see you come in, sweet face. I'm glad to see you. You're going to take me for a ride on that damn Harley, aren't you? As soon as I get rich. Oh, I love motorcycles. Oh, dear God. I would be like the little old lady from Pasadena if I had a Harley. Oh, my God. I can see it now. I would be a demon. We want an electric truck and an electric tractor first, though. I had a I was listening to Marty talk uh, day before yesterday or yesterday, and he was saying you need to be yourself. And I laughed to myself and said, "Oh, these people are going to love this old lady when they really get to know her." And I was laughing and giggling about it. And then I come on tonight here and spill my breakfast. I tell everybody everything, and I think he had premonitions of things to come every once in a while. Uh, did you see all of our feedback on Facebook, Christina? Oh, you have a Dynaglide, David? Hot damn, that's wonderful. I love motorcycles. My husband had a motorcycle when I met him, but he had a stroke and a heart attack. He can't drive it anymore. Let me see. I'm not getting all of us are wanting to go on a motorcycle ride. We'll have to get one for Ash. Doesn't he look like a motorcycle rider? Would he look good on a bike? Ah, yes. I'm not too old to dream. Come to Canada, Pat. I love it. Us old ladies on bikes. We could start a club. I like four wheelers. I like to drive four wheelers. Oh, good. A trike, yes. You don't have to hold it up. It has reverse. Oh, yes, that's my style. Oh, this has been such great fun. William Delorme is here with us. God love you, sweetheart. I'm glad to see you. We've been talking about everything tonight, William, and I think you would have enjoyed it. Is there anything else y'all want to talk about that I'm not covering and should cover? And we'll talk about it. Just let me know in chat. And uh, if you want my opinion about some things, I'll let you know what I do know. I do know a lot because I've been in here since I've been around since 2018, but I joined in March of 2019. Uh, oh, that's great. There's something to be said about uh, having a lot of money. I've made a lot of money in my life, and I've spent it as fast as I got it. when I was a correctional counselor, I made very good money for women in that time, and career money. But it's always been, I made just enough to live under the wire. And then when I got sick, I lost everything. And I maxed out my health benefits with the government, and they would never hire me again. Once you max out your health benefits and you work for the uh, federal government, forget it. They don't hire you again. You got to be really somebody special. I never was that special, but uh, I have never really had an excess amount of money that I could do what I wanted for me. When you're raising 5 kids and 4 of your girlfriend's kids, 9 kids take up a lot of time and money. And my husband and I, we never knew from one paycheck to the next if we would make it to the next paycheck. And I would be happy if I just knew I had enough money to make from paycheck to paycheck, and then I would be perfectly fine. But let me see. We have Patricia. She said, I love what is coming. I translate for a different language, wait to share with groups across the globe and be able to hear the children. Oh, won't that be wonderful, Pat? I would like to do some metaphysical programs on O Academy and take them and send them out, teaching people how to meditate, how to get in connection with their higher self, how to navigate in the world. I would like to do that very much, and I think I might later, but not right away. Uh, I used to teach visualization classes. I had all kinds of classes that I taught, metaphysics classes. So I might do some of that. Uh, oh, you're trilingual. Oh, David, you are so talented. We gotta get together. We gotta get Mr. Pringle in here too. I have a feeling about him. Was it Ken Pringle? Oh, that guy's brilliant, David. Do you know him? I think that he has something special for all of us. And I want to get him on and interview him. And that's what I want you guys to do with me. Send me an email. Tell me, hey, I want to come on. Will you interview me? And I want to tell you what I want to do. And we could do a couple of people at a time. And we could talk about specific ideas that we have where we want to help or bless and what we want to do in that area, that arena, what we want to do with our business. I do know that I have come to the conclusion that I am keeping most all of my uh, founder positions, and I'm purchasing reseller positions for those people that I want to help. Um, oh yes, junk food. I don't eat junk food anymore. I used to, Pat, long time ago. No, I fast 16 hours a day. I'm a carnivore, and it took away all my inflammation out of my body. Don't have any inflammation stuff. I have a little trouble uh, sometimes with my back still, but uh, I eat very little. I still have got an apple dumpling shape, but I eat very little. I don't eat 16 hours a day. I fast, and it keeps my blood sugar perfect. And that's another thing we could talk about one of these days about our medical field. I like to eat healthy foods. I would like to grow enough vegetables to feed the world. And that would be a good thing, Pat. Learning how to, I want to get a freeze dryer and freeze herbs so they're fresh frozen and freeze dry 'em. And so I I speak BS real well and a little Spanish. Oh, David, I knew I liked you from the moment I saw you. Uh, I found out about eating carnivore about, I guess it was about 3 years ago. And when I found out how much they were lying to us about our health, and the medical doctors, and I started to become insulin resistant. And I said, I'm not going for that. So I really learned a lot about nutrition. And I do eat vegetables. I'm not a total carnivore, but they're non-GMO homegrown veggies. I don't eat anything out of the store. I don't eat any packaged food. My son and my husband do, not me. I don't eat any of that. David, I feed the world if I could. That's my big thing. I want to have greenhouses from hell to Texas. I'm telling you. I would like to have an blessed project for the people here where they could start small greenhouses on their property and grow their own food and use solar energy so they have energy all year round. My husband's he's an electrician, and my son is too. And we're really into solar, wind, and air to water machines, getting energy out of the sky, so to speak. Uh, I controlled mine because I was not about to get diabetes, David. My mother had it, my sisters had it, and I said, I'm not going down that road. And I knew that with perseverance, I could control it, and I did. And I went, it took me almost a year to get out of the diabetic resistant stage, insulin resistance. But I'm below 80 now. I keep uh, my blood sugar down. We're all going to have gardens again, and we could compare notes. I could hardly wait. I want a garden, like I say, I want a garden where I could feed the world. I want a big one, and I've got all these ideas how to restore the the land. They have depleted our soil with corruption. Like, what is that insecticide they put in everything? I can't think of it right now. But it'll take 10 years to regrow soil. And I want to grow comfrey and all of the things where we can build your soil back up. I really am a farmer. I really am. And we will feed the planet, I believe. When Ash started this, I kept hearing him in the back of his mind saying something to that effect. He says, there's no excuse to watch people starve to death in this world. There's no excuse for the kind of hunger that we're seeing. Uh, I've got a couple of friends, David, that are working on hydrating the desert too. Do you know anything about air to water technology and getting water out of the air? I have an air to water machine. We drink water. We have such high humidity here in West Virginia that we could probably supply 5 houses with water with what we get out of the air. Yes, I think Ash is right, David. I truly do. And Judy, you are just fine. I think that we all are on pins and needles waiting for ONPASSIVE to launch. But I am really anxious to see how we get together. Yes, it is called dehumidification. Yes, I call it air to water technology. It is fascinating. It works beautifully well. And I want it for every plant that I'm going to have. I want to produce my own water on my own property. Um, I don't know. You have to have a certain amount of humidity in the air for that technology to work really well, though, David. It, I think it's Pat. It is. I want you to go to Google and Google air to water machines. If you have high humidity in your area, you could get an air to water machine. It'll take that moisture right out of your air, filter it for you, and you have beautiful drinking water. Yeah, me too, David. Me too. I can't sleep. That's why I wanted to do these late night shows. I sleep in. Little Lynn mentioned power naps tonight. I have about 3 power naps through the day, and at nighttime, I just come 12 o'clock. Bingo! My eyes open up, and I'm good to go to 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I think 2 to 4 inches of rain is good, but I'm talking about the humidity within the air. We want to start a small bottling plant, and you have to have an average humidity point in order to produce it on a steady basis. Uh, with water reclamation here, oh my gosh, I could ship you guys all water in the desert. We had rain for 4 days this week that come down like the wrath of God. And the river was clear up to the highway, and then it went down. We had 4 hard days, but we have rain all through the summer. Christina, where are you leaving me, honey? I'm so glad you were here. I just been rattling away. I make a promise to you guys. The next one we do, I will be more organized and focused, and I will have an agenda. It won't be just all this blabber all the time where I can drive you all crazy. I love you, Christina. Keep that beautiful smile going. I lived in an earth ship for a while, David. Quite an interesting process that is. I had friends in California that built one, and I went to stay for 2 months with them when my husband was in the hospital, and it was interesting. They're very, very innovative, I guess is what you'd call. The only problem I have with underground living is that little thing about claustrophobia that I have. I can't. I would like to have a hobbit house, where you've got things growing on the top. And I say that because I love the looks of them. But once I get inside them, another story. I'm looking for 3 ways out. So I think it is dependent on how they're built. Now the Earthship, it was all out at the front, but the back part of it, where the sleeping quarters, uh, was a little confining for me. You know, Judy, please talk to me, honey girl. Pat says you're amazing. I want to find out everything about you. I spilled my guts. Okay, it's your guys' turn now. Patricia, you're a gem, honey. Yes, it does. The whole south side is usually glass, and it does feel open. Theirs did too. They had a really interesting process that they used to filter their gray water, and it was wonderful. It worked wonderfully well because uh, they they were in Northern California, but they were in like the high desert part of Northern California, up above into the mountains, where it's very rocky, mountainous, and they filtered their gray water to have their outside garden area uh, hydrated. And at first, that made me kind of shudder, but they didn't use detergent or anything like that in their gray water, and it worked extremely well. So their house was very very efficient. They were from Ireland originally, and they had lived on the coast of Ireland with real rocky uh, soil. I know, Patricia. I don't know how to be quiet. So when it's quiet, it just drives me nuts. You got to talk to me. Um, uh, I can be silent when I'm alone. I like my silence, and I paint, and I listen to music, and I do pottery, and it's quiet. You can hear a pin drop at my house. But when I'm talking to people, I want them to talk. I want them to answer me back. That's the only thing I find with this venue. I got to have you guys on with me so you can answer me back and tell me when to shut up and stuff. Well, some of the soap, I think they do like. I make my own soap, David. We make our own soap, my son and I. And some of the soap is so bad. It's the only thing I can tell you. I hate to call anything bad, but it's bad for your skin, you know. And I, when I got into making soap many, many years ago, my mother used to make soap out of wood ash. And would take the hide. That's why I'm so fair. I swear to God. I think she washed all the color out of us. And I look at what I've done to my hair. It's standing straight up on end. I'm sorry about that, you guys. I cut it all off, and now I'm sorry. Um, I like making soap, and I like making body products too that don't harm the skin. And so both my son and I do that. We had a store online for about 5 years, uh, and we were pretty successful. But we didn't know how to advertise or anything like that, and we worked our hearts out. I mean, making soap is hard business, and I used to go through. No, I don't know how many bars of soap I've made in my lifetime, but it's a bunch. And I still make soap. I make hyperallergenic soap for our family because our skin's so sensitive that I don't like using anything out there. But I keep deers away with Irish Spring. I go and buy Irish Spring and cut it up, put it on the fence. Oh, Judy, what a nice thing for you to say. I was so embarrassed over my hair this week. Oh, girl. When I get nervous, I do stupid stuff like if my hair won't behave and when it's real high humidity, I'll cut that bugger off. So I cut a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. It's a wonder I wasn't bald. But I do that every once in a while. Then I have to wait to let it grow out to get it shaped again so it looks normal and not so wonky. I told John, I'm coming and you're going to give me a buzz cut so I can get it to grow out just perfect. Oh, I had a friend that had a tattoo shop. I don't have any tattoos, but my daughter does. She has one on her leg. but not me. I don't want anybody near me with a needle anywhere. Mm-mm. I'm a wuss. I don't like anything poking at me. I don't even like to get a vaccination. I don't get vaccinations. That's another thing I don't do. But that's because of the way I believe, not what you should do. You do what's good for you. Well, honey, I'm running out of things to talk about. I know you're bored to death. I gotta let you know that I will be more organized the next time. And I can just see what everybody's going to be talking about this week. They're going to be talking about us, David, and our near death experiences and a few other things. Maybe we'll start a trend where they'll all come and join us and they'll share their stories with me. You'd be surprised the people that I look at when I'm in a webinar and I hear their stories in my mind, and some of them are pretty sad. And they need our prayers. Oh, we all need friends like that, Judy. Pat Parrott is a friend to a lot of people. She is. Oh, Judy, that's so nice of you to say. You know what? I used to dye my hair. I've been white haired since I was 24. My hair started turning white when I was 17. And I had a strip like my dad. It was pure white, silver. And then by the time I was 24, I had white hair. And so when you're 24, you don't want to look like an old lady. So I dyed my hair every color in the book. And I had red hair and I had pink hair and blue hair. And so when the kids got older, I couldn't say a word to them because their mother had already done all that to her hair. So they had all the rainbow colored hair too. But then I got tired of it. I said, it's so bad for you that I wasn't going to put that stuff on me, that chemical on me anymore. Uh, and so I quit and I just let it go white. I said, what the heck? I'm not trying to hide anything. Once you get old and you accept the fact you're one of the older the hill gang, you don't care. You just don't care anymore. I used to care about my appearance, and I wouldn't even go to the grocery store unless I was at heels and I had pantyhose on. I just wouldn't go. I just didn't do that in my day and age. Now they go in their pajamas and they don't care. You know, my daughter and I were talking about it. She said, uh, "Oh, Judy, I'd love to hear about the baby raccoons." My daughter had a story that was similar. Let me see here. I missed it out. There, I caught up. Okay. You can talk to me anytime, Judy. I would love to hear everything you have to say. I took care of baby sloths one time. Does that count? They're the cutest little buggers you ever seen in your life. I fell in love with them. They had a family of them at the zoo, and the mother died. And we had to go in and give them baths and everything. That was fun. It was fun. I have to admit, I had a good time with sloths. They're such strange creatures. I got some raccoons I could give you, Judy, if you really like them. Little pesky buggers. Where did you volunteer, Judy? Yeah, we could do that today. One step beyond or over the hill and into the never never land. I really have been learning a lot through my experience with the elders on the other side, though, about what is coming. I really want to share the change that is coming. And I don't really know how receptive people will be to it because there's some drastic changes coming in the world. And it's going to be eye opening. But some of the changes have been a long time coming. And they're going to be dynamic at the beginning. And then we're all going to adjust. And it's going to be fantastic, But learning how to deal with the fifth dimension. I wish you'd read that book, David, Future Memory, that I told you about. Future Memory is by P.M. Atwater, Atwater, Pamela Atwater. P.M. Atwater has books on everything. She is in her 80s and she has lived a lifetime of progressive knowledge, just gathering knowledge. Wait, I'm going to read Judy's thing. Oh, they are darling. Raccoon babies are darling. I'm careful with raccoons here. There was about 2 years. Okay, David, I'll give that to you again. Uh, you're right, Patricia. The wealth is changing hands right in front of people's eyes. And it's going to be really hard to take. The book that you want to read that tells you about the children of the world and what's happening in the future, too, is Future Memory by P.M. Atwater, Atwater. It is really informative. And it is a little unbelievable. When she wrote it, it was very unbelievable. But P.M.H. Atwater, excuse me, I forgot her H on it. She wrote a lot of other books too. But her books are very, very scientific. She's kind of like a couple of the, I can't think of his name right now, the guy that wrote The Matrix. But I forget when it was written. I think it was in 2013. And when she wrote the book, some of the chapters that are like about the labyrinth and about fixed and flexible futures, how we're going to be looking at the future and how future is going to be different things to different people. It's a really, really good book, and it's based on much research, and you'll like it. It's called Future Memory, Judy. The book all of us should read, and we shouldn't put it down until we get through it all, is called Power versus Force. and it's by Dr. Hawkins. I don't know I forget his first name. Power versus Force. I think it's David Hawkins. He wrote The Map of Consciousness and Power versus Force. As you can tell, I read 15 books a week. So I'm going to be telling you guys some of the new stuff to read that's going to open your eyes. I promise. Not Stephen, David is. I think it's David Hawkins. Power versus Force was written, a long time ago. I can't remember how long ago, but it was quite a while ago. And it was one of the most explosive books. It's been in every country of the world. It probably had the biggest impact on me of any book that I've ever read. And his name is Dr. David R. Hawkins. And it's the hidden determinants of human behavior. And what it does is analyze the human thought and consciousness. And it's very, very informative. Susan, are you leaving me? Do you have to work tomorrow? We need to get you back in here so you and Philip can tell us what you're going to do with ONPASSIVE. They've got some of the best ideas. They're going to, Philip even goes doors to door with his cards and stuff, and he talks to people all the time. Philip is really an ambassador for ONPASSIVE. We got to have him on so we can talk, Susan and Philip and your sister Marcia. Let's shoot for next week, Philip. Huh? And Susan, are you guys going to be home? Could you talk about yourself for an hour or two? Like I do. I'll help you. Okay, I'll send you a link, and you guys can come in if you want. And we'll talk about your plans. At least an hour, Susan. You want to do? You're a real interesting lady. I know you can talk. Okay. David, you don't know you made my whole night tonight. I hope you come back and see me again. Don't forget me, okay, David? And we will talk again. I love you too, Philip and Susan. I'm going to have to go too because I have a reading tomorrow at 2 and 1 at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's 1:09 already. So I'm going to have to shut it down too. Judy, you'll have to come on and show us some pictures of your raccoon babies and what you did to help. I wish I'd have kept more photographs of the sloths that we were taking care of, because that was really fun for me. I was pretty young then too, though. Good for you, David. I loved having you. God bless. I better get off here too, girls and boys. I don't know how many we have left, but I want to tell you all that came in tonight how much I appreciated you on short notice. I didn't even advertise. And I want to let you know I love you, that you were here. And I hope you had fun. If nothing else, we didn't learn too much about ONPASSIVE tonight. We learned a lot about Willow. I told you. But we will have more fun the next time, and we will figure out which direction we're going to go. And we will be serious about it next time, I promise. Pat Parrot, you are a doll. You know that. You know that I keep you in my prayers and healing prayers every day. And I care about you in my heart. So don't forget it, honey girl. I think you're the best. Top of the line. So I'm going to close it up for tonight. We had a good time. I want to talk, maybe on the next talk, I want to talk about perhaps not only the superiority of ONPASSIVE, but I'd like to talk about some of the products that I want more information about. And so I think that I'll put out a flyer that anybody that's got a lot of information, maybe we could share about oatmeal and a couple of the other products. I want to use ODIT, and I haven't heard anybody talking about it yet. And I want more information about ODIT. I got new messages. I will tag you, Pat, when we go live. I just didn't do it tonight. I was so busy thinking about Chris. Don't forget to put Chris in your prayers tonight and put him in your heart for this week. We need to support him when he needs it. He's going to have surgery too. I love you both. Good night, all.